This video is for you if you're looking to reduce the attrition rate of your company or if you're looking to retain more employees. Now, whether you're a small business, a small corporate organization, or a reputed one, or if you're also an individual business, I'm going to share a secret and a case study on how reputed corporate organizations they retain employees. So employees stick to them and they keep working for years because the processes and the policies that they have in place are amazing for the employees. Now, when we are like a startup, what I've noticed is that startups pay a lot of money to their employees, and then employees would just stick around for a few months or a year or two, and then they would get frustrated and leave the job. And usually smaller businesses feel that, okay, if one employee is gone, then we'll hire another one, and maybe pay and, get the work done. However, a reputed corporate organization or big corporate organizations, they always think about the future. They have a future vision. So they want to be able to stick to the employees whom they've hired. They want to invest in them and they want to ensure that they're the ones who grow, they make the money, and eventually their organization makes the money. Because just imagine, if you've hired someone, you've trained that person, and if that person sticks to your company for a longer time, you will obviously have to, there'll be better trust. You will not have to train that person again and again. So I'll tell you how big corporate organizations retain their employees and employees stick to them much longer, and the reasons for that. And then if you're a smaller corporate organization, see if you want to implement a few of the techniques, because it's not always about the pay that the employee looks for. Of course, everybody wants to earn more these days. And I'll also talk about as an individual, when you're choosing a company you want to work with, what should you look for? So let's say, is it just pay that retains an employee? Now, a big reputed corporate organization, the first thing, the moment they hire an employee, they have something called as a career path, wherein there are like set goals and set targets. So let's say if somebody hires me, I would know exactly what are the targets, monthly targets that I need to meet based on whatever my role is. For example, if I'm a trainer, I would be told how many employees do I have to train and how many of them should clear the training. Like it should be a 95% rate. And if it's not 95% in one batch, then you can cover up in the next batch. So there are clear targets and also career path that, okay, for the next 18 months, if you do this particular task well and you meet your targets, then you'll be eligible for a promotion. So they give you a very clear picture. So if I've joined a reputed corporate organization, first of all, they set the expectation very clearly that if you're able to perform within, let's say, 18 months, so they have different time periods for different positions, then you're eligible for the next promotion round, and which will happen in a very fair way. They usually take out the promotion opportunity and then everybody applies for it and we go through an interview round. So a career path is very important. Now let's say if you're a small business and somebody's joined you, what we feel is that, okay, let's just train this person and whatever your business may be, and then this person starts working. However, what we as a small business or a small corporate organization, what we don't realize is that the person whom you hired also wants to make a future or build a future for themselves. So if you show them that, okay, if this is what I teach you today, then few years down the line with my company, you can grow like this. So that way the person will think of sticking to your company. However, if you just say that, hey, you just do your job, I'll just pay you, after a few months, the person will start looking for better opportunities. So a reputed corporate organization always creates a career path within their organization. So that is one of the key reasons why employees want to stick around, because they know that, eventually we'll grow. The second thing, good corporate organizations give weekly targets and monthly targets to the employees. Like I said, if I am training a batch of, let's say, 20 people or 30 people, I will be given a target that, okay, can you meet a 95% passing rate? And if you can't, then maybe in the next batch you should. So since I know my target, I know that I have to work on 95% of my trainees, though I obviously try and work on 100%, because if there's 100%, then it's an additional achievement. And the moment we meet those targets, they celebrate the achievements. So there are monthly, certificates that employees get in reputed corporate organizations. Now you might think that, oh, it's just a certificate. However, it's a big booster for the self-esteem of an employee. That's why when people work with bigger corporate organizations or reputed ones, they have a very high self-esteem. You can always see that, if a person from a very average organization who just gets paid a lot enters a room versus a person who is very focused and who works with a very organized company, if they both walk into a room, their confidence level will be different. Usually people, who are just getting paid higher but they don't have the skills, they boast a lot about themselves. They don't know how to handle clients effectively. They don't know how to handle customers effectively. But someone who's used to working in a very organized way would always respect other people's times, their skill set, their growth, and they would always talk in a very humble way. So these are just very culturally like employees of good corporate organizations or reputed ones are trained like that. So they stand out always, and people want to work with them more and more. In fact, even smaller corporates or startups want to hire employees from big companies. Why? Because they know that those employees will be loyal. They know how to do the work in a very organized way, so they don't require a lot of training. However, I'm just sharing what good corporate organizations do so that you can implement that in your organization. And I'll come back to an individual of how you should select the company you want to work with. So like I said, a good corporate organization celebrates achievements. In fact, I remember when I completed this one project and I was given a certificate, they also told me that, get your family and friends or, whoever you want to call on that particular call where they were appreciating me. So they included my family. It was a very small gesture, but it really made me happy. All right. And then good corporate organizations, they drive a culture that is employee friendly. Like when an employee walks into the office, you don't feel pressurized that, oh my god, this is just another day of work. You feel good that, okay, today I have my tasks in place, I have to complete them, and after like my 8 hours of work or 4 hours of work, depending on how many hours you've given to the you are supposed to give to the company, you know that, okay, today I'll complete this target and then I'll be peaceful, and then I can just go back home, or I can just get back to my other activities. Also, good corporate organizations, they have a lot of empathy for their employees. So of course they have empathy for customers. Everybody has empathy for customers. However, they have a lot of empathy for the employees. They understand their personal situations. So if I have a team of a few people, I would know everybody's personal situation and I would not disclose it to the other people. Of course, we don't force them to share it, but it's very important that when we see an employee who's not smiling, who's struggling, or who's got some health issue, or there's something wrong that we see, before we focus on work, we focus on their situation. We help them out. That's the empathy we show to the employee, and then we get them to get them back to work. So that's another culture. If every organization follows that, you understand an employee's personal situation, what their likes are, or what's making them happy, what doesn't make them happy, then it'll be very easy for you to work with them, and they will always show you more loyalty. Remember, everyone likes to smile and have fun, So in big corporate organizations, every month, all the teams, they have like this budget. There's this budget allocated to the manager, or if I'm a trainer, I would be given that budget, and then I would have a party for all the employees. Maybe we would just order food for them, or we would just go out to a restaurant and then maybe eat together, or we would just maybe order some sweets and celebrate together. So it's a very small thing, and it doesn't even cost a lot. But it's just about driving a culture where we are celebrating with our team members and we make them feel important. And also reputed corporates have these annual parties and they're amazing, like you can dance, you can perform plays, then there are, games. So they have these extracurricular activities which really, boost your motivation level. In addition to this, reputed corporate organizations have a formal bonus process. So let's say for the entire year I've performed, and then the bonus is given based on your performance. So let's say if I'm a trainer and if there are 5 other trainers in the team, we're all given targets. So nobody's jealous of each other. We all know that if we do our jobs well, then we would eventually get, that bonus in a very fair way. So it's very important for any organization or any business to have a fair bonus system. Even if you have just 3 employees, You tell them clearly right from the start that, hey, you know what, if you stick to my company for 1 year, and if these are the targets you meet month on month, and if this is the feedback I get from the customers and other employees or your team members, then you will be eligible for a bonus. It's also important to train your employees on how to talk to people outside your company. For example, if I am working for a corporate organization, I know what I'm going to say about that organization, or how I'm going to treat my customers. They teach me that you have to treat them respectfully, you have to treat other employees respectfully. So if you have employees in your company, and let's say there are other people who are coming, even if you're a training company, for example, now you feel that, okay, the trainees are coming to your organization to get trained, okay? So obviously, normally a trainee will always respect their teacher or their coach. However, if the coach also respects the trainee and their expectations and answers their questions, that is a culture you are driving as a training organization or as a business. So these are, again, very small things, but it's very important to train your entire organization on using the same language when they're interacting with the people who are coming to your organization for a training or for whatever reason, for some business or for a project. Okay, and then the big corporate organizations always give gifts on Diwali or any other special festival. They don't have to do it, but they always do it, even if it's like a small diya or if it's like just a box of chocolate. But they always make sure that they celebrate these occasions. They have a safe process for handling employee complaints. Now we forget that, when we hire someone, we forget that, okay, that person might also be unhappy or they might have a complaint also at some point or the other. So what usually big organizations or people, even if it's a small company, if it's a good place to work, what they usually do is they allow you to like write the complaint on a piece of paper without your name, and you put it in like a letter box, and then there would be a special team handling that complaint. So usually big organizations do that, but if it's a smaller company where you're just always interacting with the bosses, or it's let's say a company of just 50 people or 10 people, in that case also one should figure out, the CEO or the leadership should figure out a way that, okay, what if my employee wants to share a complaint, or if there's a problem, how will that person share it without even naming themselves? So there are creative ways, or through which people try and do that, so that it's not really about making the employee creepy. It's really about understanding what they feel about the company. Sometimes there are surveys where you don't have to put your name, but you share what you feel about the company and how they can improve. So yeah, these are just creative ways to keep your employees happy. Remember, your employees get more confident if they get more confident. So let's say if you have a team of 10 people and they're very confident employees and they love the way you're treating them, then they would automatically talk well about you and your company. So you don't have to constantly, keep checking on them that, okay, what are they saying about me or my company? For example, I love the company I'm working for. So if somebody asks me anything, I always tell them that it's a great company, and I totally enjoy, working with them. So it's because they give me my freedom. They give me flexible work hours, basically what I need. So coming back to your employees, so I would also say, if you're an individual, when you're also raising a complaint, always balance it out. Like, I would not go and complain to my my boss unless it's a really big issue. I also try to adjust. So a big corporate organization, because their policies are so amazing, employees are also very adjusting. They would not unnecessarily crib. So always make sure that you have a very good relationship with your employees and you are making a safe place for them to work. Make employees learn. What we sometimes forget is, when we've hired a person, we just tell them one or two tips and tricks here and there. Make them learn formally. For example, I'm an instructional designer and I already know quite a few things. However, even till date, my company makes me attend trainings, or they give me regular feedback, coaching, they give me mentoring to make sure that I am at the highest level when it comes to my skill set. And if I don't know something, let's say if there's a new AI technology which I have not even read about, they would come back and tell me that, hey, this is what's in the market, go through this particular material, or we can help you out with it. So I'm always up to date when it comes to any information about my own industry, which is learning and development. And when you're training your employees, they, of course, they will perform better, they will earn better, you will earn better. And also their self-esteem and confidence is always high. something that we, when we have a smaller business, we forget to think about that, because all we are concerned about is our profits. You can make a lot of profits, but if you have constant employee attrition, if they keep leaving your company, and if you keep hiring new employees, first of all, you yourself will be tired of training new people. And then even if the people stick around, and if they don't have like the zeal to work every day, you would only make average profits. So what you want is that anytime a person walks into your company or walks into work for you, whatever business you're doing, whether it's a training organization, English speaking organization, whatever it is, if your employee is motivated, if they like you, and if they smile when they walk in and you give them a smile back, that's a great place to work. And the more you groom your employees, the more confident they will get, the more loyal they'll be to you. So this is about how do you retain employees and reduce your attrition rate. If you are any corporate organization, let's say you find it challenging to do that. See, for me it's easy because I've always worked with organizations who have a good working culture, and whenever they've not had it, I have not worked with them for more than a few months. So within a few months itself, I'm able to understand. Good organizations always give you a work-life balance. And I also want to be honest that when I joined my first organization, it's not that I went regularly to office. I used to work for like proper 8 hours with 1 hour of break, so 9 hours of working. So when you're really new to a company, you don't say a lot, you learn more. So I also worked really hard for the first 8 years of my corporate career, but I learned a lot. I learned the correct processes. So once they trained me, I told you, they also, in my previous video I told you, they gave me a lot of trainings. So once I was really skilled, they also started trusting me more, and they gave me more flexible timings. They allowed me to work from home. They helped me out wherever I could, wherever they could, and then I could interact with clients. Then so there were a lot of benefits for me. So as an individual, sometimes I also feel we expect a lot. If you want to expect something, then always join an organization. Don't always join them based on the pay scale. Join them based on two things: how much they're paying you and how much they're making you learn, how much they're making you build a future. So if you're an individual, focus on your future, no matter which organization you're working with. For example, even though I have a corporate career, I have still learned more skills. Like I learned acting, I know how to train, I know how to give consulting services. All of these things are, things that I learned in my corporate organization and also on my own. They made me so observant that I can understand, read about different business models. So the more you gain skills, the more your corporate organization will help you. But always go with an organization that gives you a work-life balance, or if they're at least teaching you. Because the moment you work for the first 5 or 8 years with them, you will automatically become very skilled, and you will have a lot of opportunities that will open up for you. So as an individual, I would say really focus on your career. Whatever you're doing, please see 2 years or 3 years down the line where you'll be, if your organization is not helping you out. But if they are helping you out, means they are concerned about you. So yeah, today's video is really mostly about driving a culture that helps you retain employees, because the more attrition rate you have, which means the more employees leave in a year, they constantly leave, you will always be running after new employees, training them, again trying to drive your culture. So try to retain your people so that they are loyal to you and you are more relaxed when you're doing your business or whatever company you're running. So yeah, I hope this information was helpful. I'll keep coming up with more case studies, and I'll talk about more good working culture techniques. And if you'd like to reach out to me, you're a small business or a corporate organization or a reputed one, you'd like me to conduct a few trainings on business communication, spoken English, or how we can drive a culture that fosters a great workplace, then please write to me at neetu.communicationskills@gmail.com. And if you're an individual who wants to be more skilled, learn from me, then also write to me at neetu.communicationskills@gmail.com. Please respect your time and my time as well. You guys take care. Bye-bye.